And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here on the front lines with my co-host
DANK.
and also our guest for today, Michelle Walker. How's it going, everyone?
It's great. How are you?
Doing well. It's
In,
right into the holiday season, right? And after the impeachment and slash USMCA announcement. Yeah. So.
yes, indeed. Yeah. Tell me what's going on, Dan. Like, I've been in website world.
Yeah. Well,
What's the deal?
they went ahead and did an impeachment, and Nancy Pelosi had four of her chairmen around them. I downloaded the video. I said, this would be a really great one to put like bubbles in, right? Because they're not looking happy there, right? And they're kind of all, especially Maxine Waters, that was there. She's look all prune face, right? And but I said, I could put a bubble above, and Maxine Waters just says impeach 45, impeach 45 throughout the entire speech, right? And then over the other guy's head, put they're going to kill us for this, or we're wiped out in the next election, that kind of thing. I did one of those for Rob Rosenstein once before. Got like 75,000 views. I figured that would be a good one. And then, like within a blink of the eye, Nancy Pelosi went to the next camera and, had like 20, 30, Democrats standing behind her on that one, right, for USMCA, saying, "Oh, we're going to move forward with the USMCA now that we've beefed up the enforcement side of it." Right. So
Beefed up the enforcement side, really.
yeah,
Okay.
that's what she said. Yeah. So really bury the impeachment, get it out of the front papers, right? Because the polls
right.
are crashing for the Democrats. Trump is up in these critical states, like Wisconsin. He won Wisconsin, but now, before, the impeachment stuff, he was kind of behind, but now, he's surging, not just ahead. He's surging in all these other states, and so now he's off in Pennsylvania doing on a rally, right? And he's really letting them have it. So I mean, on that front, they're spiraling out of control, right? They're which is a blessing, right? To see that this has all come to this part, and the IG report was released, and of course the mainstream media is saying, "Oh, it exonerated the FBI." I said, "Did anything bug that?" I mean, it's not only does it not. I just catching Dan Bongino. I mean, he has great analysis of these things. I really encourage everyone to subscribe to his channel and watch him. And he really puts it out there. But he's now going through it and he's saying that it actually tied in Obama, but it's not blatant. It's just certain words that were used. Operational, he was saying operational something, which is only comes from the White House, only comes from Obama. So it does tie up.
Okay.
It does tie. Now, I didn't finish watching Dan. I got his first 3 minutes, and then you joined in, so I was not able to listen to the rest of it. But this is all this information in the 500 pages of roadmap of what everything that went wrong. I mean, the whole the old FISA court thing is showing to be corrupt. I mean, they haven't talked about the judges in all of this, right? They haven't talked about what were the judges.
Talk about the judges.
Yeah. I mean, why not talk about what the judges didn't do? They didn't inquire. I mean, they approved 98% of these things. It seems like it's something that needs to disappear. It needs to be unwound. It's not. It doesn't provide with people the ability to. You're being spied on, like in the old Soviet Union or in Romania. If you remember, in Romania, I don't know if you do, but when that dictator that was there died, and it kind of worked its way free a bit, and the people there were in such a they had half the people of the country watching the other half. Everyone was a spy, and then they had and every single phone call, there was 2 people listening to what you were saying.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So and then everyone was in an uproar about that at that time. Well, what about now? Like every single phone call, every email, every tweet, everything is now made available for the government to look at. You know, the Hammer Project, you know, still hasn't made it out into front and center on the real mainstream alternative. You know, so say, how do we say, the new alternative? No, the new mainstream. What are we going to call the real media now? Oh, that's it. We'll call it the real media.
Yeah, right. Real media.
Yeah.
The real mainstream. If we can ever get a mainstream in the very near future, anyways.
Yeah, we're gonna have to kill that part, the mainstream part, because it doesn't, you know, it's too tied to them. Right, so.
I know. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. We're associated with that.
We're the real stream. How about that?
Right.
The real stream news. Hey, that's a good channel.
Yep.
Let's use that one. Real stream news.
Real stream. Well, it's the real world order. You know, that's what I like to refer to. The way it should be, right? The real world. Yeah. So,
well, that's yeah, go ahead.
You know, I do want to, you know, we got everybody want everybody to know that, you know, I don't have a current update from Kim, but I do think that I would expect some things to open up as the World Trade Order goes down. I do think that's a big sign of the times, and you know, we had some discussions today with the Republic group that is trying to restore the Republic, and also with the National Liberty Alliance, and we're starting to coordinate to actually call grand juries where there is wrongdoing by the judges, you know, to mention the judges, because that's what the grand jury is about. And, you know, the grand jury is the highest court in the land, actually, and that no court in the country, even the Supreme Court, can question the ruling of the grand jury, believe it or not. And so I'm very happy to kind of be doing that research, and a large part of that is because of Michelle. So Michelle's been helping me get that stuff together. And Michelle used to teach classes on the Constitution, so she's been putting me to work, you know, homework, so I understand what's going on. And Michelle, you want to update everybody on what's going on with Carol Rakowski, because this is very important, and the reason why I mentioned those things first is because anybody in the Chicago area, we are going to definitely must get people in that area to stand up, and we're going to call a grand jury there and go after these judges. So, and Michelle's going to tell you why.
So I don't think we've had an update since the autopsy that we did as an independent autopsy. So we did an independent autopsy. I think you covered it, Tank. But sorry. And so we had our person come in, and we were not aware that when we got James's body that he was not going to have his brain, his heart, his neck organs, and his jawbone. So we were never told that those were missing. We had a recording right after that. Kara called the Cook County Medical Examiner, and during that time, they told us that we had the audio where the medical examiner says that he returned the neck organs, and when she told him, no, you did not, we had an independent autopsy, he backtracked a little. And so there was a cover-up there with her, and I'm going to go back to, we had about, a good handful of people that were going to do the autopsy, and they kept backing up. Even funeral homes, we had where the directors would back out saying that they were not available. We had people that were not available. And so the funeral home that we ended up using to transport James from Cook County Medical Examiner to the other location for the independent autopsy to be done, they were working with Kara, so they said, and they were trying to make her do a list. They would not allow our people to come in. We had hired one person, and they would not allow us to use them. So they were trying to make her use a list that they wanted. And Tank and I talked to her about it, and she got this amazing person that came in, and she's been an amazing support system for Kara through this tragedy of James's death. So the funeral home, when they would not allow our one person to come in, Tank called them, and Tank, when you called Susan at the funeral home at Hut Green Family Home, I think she told you she didn't want any social media. She was wanting to work with the situation. Can you kind of explain what she told you?
Yeah, she didn't want a circus of social media attention or anything at the funeral home. She said that. She also slipped out that she was part of the Cook County medical examiners, and she, repeated that there was no delay, there was no blocking. She was really emphatic about that, which obviously she was lying, and she said that basically.
And I remember her saying that she didn't really want a circus, and you were very kind to her. We actually have the call recorded, and you were very polite to her. So right after that, Miss Susan talked to Kara the day before our independent autopsy taking place. Kara was with one of her friends. We have a witness to this, and she was complaining about you and me being her advocate, and why was Tank her advocate, that she didn't need Tank to be her advocate. Just a little bizarre behavior for just a funeral home, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. And then,
Why
we're going to put that call out for everyone, because she actually thought that I was, what she said, I'm shady, Michelle, or something?
You were shady.
Yeah.
You were shady. So, and we know who's shady here, Susan. It's not Tank, and it's not me. So, here comes your circus. And so, you created it.
Yeah,
remember that. You created it.
Why would the funeral?
So,
I just want to say, why would the funeral home have any opinion on what was done?
Well, it even gets better than that, Dan. So Kara had the autopsy, and these organs were missing. And Susan is just so concerned, because she's just the funeral home owner. She decided to show up at court, like not Cook County medical examiner, because in Illinois, it's better for the funeral home owner who does not perform autopsies to testify in court. And I don't think she's sworn in either. So that's on the transcript, Illinois. And so Susan shows up at court, and because she is working on behalf of Kara and the justice for James, who's 2 years old, who is dead and no longer with us, she comes to court, and she talks to Tom and the attorney, Mr. Sheen, for 30 minutes before court, and she testifies that there's nothing really going on. She just became an expert witness without. And get this, Dan, Kara's attorney did not know she was going to be there to testify. And so then they try to act like that she had been served, but we have not found any documents where she was served to testify. And again, where was Cook County medical examiner, who should be covering this case as an investigation? Now, in court, Judge Cruz, because Judge Cruz had to take over because Judge Dalton lost his balls when James died, and he removed himself from the case. And so now it's in Judge Cruz's hands, and Judge Cruz would not allow our autopsy information, which shows that there is probably some strangulation, and his bruised nose, his upper mouth, and there was a bruising on the backside of his right. It was deep in the muscle, in which we have pictures of Sasha having the same bruising. And that has been concerning. And then, of course, she said that she was concerned about the neck, organs being missing, like they are. And it was a shock to Kara and the autopsy lady that when they got home that he was that way. So she wrote a preliminary report on the autopsy. And we're needing the heart, the brain, these things to see if there's suffocation. That's why you would want those organs, to see if there was suffocation. And I have my own theory why it's missing, but I'm sure one day Tom's going to tell us. And so they would not allow our preliminary report from a real person that can perform an autopsy. And they would not allow our evidence in court. But they allowed Susan, who is on the board of Cook County Medical Examiner, who owns the funeral home because I guess she's better at doing this. And so I hope y'all know I'm being sarcastic right now. And okay. And so they would not allow that to be put in court. They Tom then said they wanted an independent autopsy, and so they were ordered the independent autopsy as well. And we were told, and Tom and them wanted the brain and the heart first. Now we did win that one. We did win where Kara's supposed to get the case. Now, Cook County Medical Examiners is claiming that they're not going to have even a preliminary autopsy report until the 1st of January, if they're lucky. And so. And then they're telling us that we may not have access to those organs. It's just unreal, the lies that they're saying here at this point, trying to cover up their child trafficking case and these two sweet children. And so and then in that court, they are putting a new guardian ad litem. And this guardian ad litem that they're trying to assign to make Kara pay has worked with Tom's attorney before. The one that has laughed about her being raped and, all of these things that have happened. And so they wanted her to pay 75% of his fees, which normally is not that way. And normally the fees are $1,500 and they went up to $4,000. So they're hitting her at every situation that they can, trying to break this woman. And I can tell you right now, you're not going to break her. She is a warrior. And so that was what happened in court. We did get visitations with Sasha. We did get overnight visits with Sasha. So we did get those, but Sasha still stayed in the hands of these predators, this grandpa and Tom, who are stand-up people who have restraining orders. And when their son had 5 trips to the hospital, when we used to think it was just one for the rectum prolapse, and because Judge Dalton was kind enough to spare Kara those medical reports and blocked Kara from knowing that those reports were out there. So Kara only knew about one hospital visit. And now that was August the 13th, which is very interesting when we've been going through these medical records, because August the 14th is when DCFS, Tom told Kara around August the 6th that DCFS was investigating a safety plan that had been implemented. And Kara was informed by Thomas that not a social worker, not a caseworker, and that Kara would not be allowed to see the children for at least 2 weeks. And despite Thomas being under investigation by DCFS, and investigator Johnson rang, she allowed the children to be placed with Tom Bell, and of course Kara didn't know about it. And I don't know how many times I've seen where Tom is getting to tell Kara that she's not going to get to see her kids, no reports. Now, why this is important in this time frame is because this is when James has had to go to the hospital 3 times in the ambulance and for this rectum prolapse. And these reports are horrible. And Tank, do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, so I can't emphasize this enough. This, as we call a grand jury, what this would be is you're talking about withholding evidence of, which really ultimately led to a homicide, in my opinion,
right,
but of sexual abuse to an infant, right, that is completely held back. And the judge never even explained what his ruling was because Karen wasn't even there. He decided to take this woman's child based on the recommendation of an attorney who said that she was going to kill the children, right? Based on, she was suffering from PTSD from being raped by the father, who I won't even give a name. And so, I actually didn't call him a father, to the dirtbag who raped her, who had a restraining order against him. So the judge, in his infinite wisdom, sends these two children, has them abducted from her home while she's at work, coward. And whoever the escorts were that went there to do that, you're a bunch of losers, low-life scumbags as well. And you go there and have these children taken, then she keeps coming back. She never stops fighting. That's what they're mad about, because she didn't stop fighting. Because they are used to people doing what they say, which is why the only course of action is for the people to stand up and do something about it. Because you want to talk about due process? That mother has the right to know that her child has been rushed to the emergency room 3 times, and she didn't even know. And then the judge had the audacity to tell her that that boy was not allowed to go to the hospital again for sexual abuse. And in reality, it's because he was so abused and damaged that if you want to get, it would just be obvious. It's obvious the kid was being raped all the time. Unbelievable.
And the ultimate result would be his death, right? There would be no other end to this line for that child. You don't have your rectum pulled out several times, four times. If that's the same medical reason, but obviously it's about the same.
There's 5 times documented. 5 times documented of rectum prolapse issues. 3 times in the emergency room. The child was screaming morphine. Every time he cried, even after having surgery, its rectum was still coming out. Let's just be frank about this. They did surgery, and every time he cried, it continued to come out. And the 5th time, the child had no rectum tone left. There was nothing left of his rectum. Nothing. The nurse would push it back, and let's just tell about how it is. I mean, this is what this life of this precious child, less than 2 years old, his life was known of abuse at the hands of his father and the grandfather. And Judge Dalton in the state of Illinois has failed this child.
Torture,
that is the bottom line.
Torture and murder. Tortured and
this
murder.
This is not a DCFS, family court, bad situation, CPS. And the mother, remember, there was no drugs, there was nothing. That Kara lost her children because of PTSD from Tom's rape. By the way, that the rape kit has came back, and the state of Illinois has still refused to prosecute him. We don't prosecute him for porn, the 44,000 images. We don't prosecute him for raping her. We have a rape kit. We don't even hold the grandpa responsible for it when she went to the hospital. Sasha did, and when she was examined, a 3-year-old child being examined, she opened herself up for the nurse. When she had an anal swab, she did not move. I mean, this is the facts of this case. And these DCF workers and these judges and these police officers who allowed this to happen, you have a dead child on your hands, and you have another child who's been sexually abused. And if you are not going to stand up against justice, you're part of it. That's the bottom line. And Judge Dalton's name is all over this.
And keep in mind, all you dirtbag losers in Kane County Police Department, or Cook County, whatever it is, who ran a report in the newspaper immediately saying there was no suspicious circumstances for the death. Now, here's what that means, in my opinion. If I'm a cop and it's not suspicious to me, the first thing that's suspicious is this to me, as an outside individual. There's a 2-year-old dead for no reason. They're 2 years old. They don't die at that age, dumbass. That's the first thing. The next thing that's suspicious is he's been to the emergency room 5 times, having a rectal prolapse, which is a common injury amongst children being raped. It doesn't happen for other reasons. It doesn't happen because of constipation. Are you kidding me? That's the next part. 5 times.
The medical records actually doesn't show constipation. Sorry, my
I thought that was what it said. So what is it? What does it look
well,
like?
that's what they said. There are some that's where they try to say it was constipation, and one of them says that there was no, there wasn't any blockage, and that he actually had runs. He did have like a white mucus type issue going on, and when he went from the ambulance, Tom and them didn't even ride in the ambulance with him. They were not at the hospital with him. They sent the grandmother, because this is the best way to cover a crime, is we send the grandmother who does not speak English, so she cannot communicate with the nurses and everything about this child's health. And so that is what they did. Tom and them did not actually go to the emergency room when James was at the hospital on some of the visits, because I guess they felt too guilty.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, in my opinion, if you look at this is a standard process. Now let's look at Judge, what's his name again? James Dalton.
Judge John G. Dalton.
John G. Dalton, right. Okay, so Judge John G. Dalton, which, by the way, I think people are more than within their constitutional rights to be hanging outside of Judge John G. Dalton's home, protesting him as a person. Now, think about this. This child, right, it's not just the grandfather and the father going to town with this little boy. Judge John G. Dalton owns a trucking company and a pizza place. Now, I mean, is that like just an incredible coincidence? Because a trucking company would have incredible value if you were trafficking children, wouldn't it? Because you could truck them out.
He also brings kids, him and his male husband, I think they're married, and bring in boys.
Foreign exchange students are called.
Foreign exchange students, yes.
What is he exchanging? Because don't you need to have a kid? Because you're a parent sending a kid out? Is it normal for 60-year-old men to have 12 to 14-year-old boys come to their house? Sorry.
I guess it is if you're a judge in Illinois, because you can pretty much get by with murder.
If he has a pizza parlor and a trucking company, he has plenty of children to go ahead and exchange in foreign exchange.
Yeah, I'm sure.
What we've heard is, and this is alleged, that the pizza parlor has transferred drugs out of there, is what we've also have been able to get some intel on. So, Judge John D. Dalton, I plan to become your worst nightmare, actually. So, but yes, he does have a transport, which Illinois is really an amazing location. It's a lot like Arkansas. So we call California the head of CPS, the corruption of these court systems and child trafficking, and then we call Arkansas the arm. Illinois is a part of this body that we're fighting, and so Illinois is actually the hub for international child trafficking, and so Kane County became a very hot spot for a lot of discovery of the corruption that's going on in this state. But Illinois used to traffic children to Africa, and then they were about to get caught. And so they started transporting children to Haiti. And they actually go down the line to Arkansas, New Mexico, and it's really a very interesting little route they have going on. But international trafficking in Illinois is also where there's a lot of organ trafficking coming in. And you see a lot of crime, and you see a lot of satanic type activity there. And I think Tank knows about some of that. We've talked to a person that we have a recording on where, Tank, do you remember that? Where I think she witnessed, what, was it 1,000 deaths a month? Is that correct?
1,000 deaths a month. And she described being thrown in the catacombs around a church there. Basically left for dead when she was a kid from the age of, I think it was 4 to 14 years old. She watched this every month. So It's a hub. I mean, it's a hub, right?
How long?
I mean, you have.
How long has this been going on? I'm wondering.
What is the Plain of Mountains down there in Arkansas? There's something to this. Yeah, like they run from east to west. They're the only set of mountains that does that in the whole country.
Well, the one thing that we've been told is the reason this is such a hot area is because, especially in Arkansas, is the interstate, the way the roads happen. Now, we have Arkansas actually now supplies the drugs to the East Coast and like Manna and all that. I'm sure everybody's heard the Manna story, but Hot Springs supplies it to Pine Bluff. Manna, it ships out to the East Coast. And so the routes have been kind of the same way on child trafficking. Now, the only thing is recently we've been told that Arkansas has kind of gone off the interstate because of being watched. But that could also be that their tunnels have been blown up a couple of months ago. I think about 2 or 3 months ago, we took a lot of their tunnels out. And so that has, hurt them moving children around. But Arkansas, the Amy Albert case that we talked about, you interviewed her. That was Arkansas and Illinois, where she's suing the state of Arkansas and Illinois. And we also have Kathy Hall's case. That child was in Illinois, and Linda Collins, Senator Linda Collins, was working with. So we have, a pattern here that shows that there is something. I actually have 2 other cases that I'm working on that are the same location, Arkansas, Illinois. A lot of times people ask me, why am I working with Illinois so much? And that's one reason. The international hub is a big thing because of Haiti. They feel like that they can traffic children in Haiti and they won't get the attention that they need, and they kind of go under the radar because the way that the public's opinion about Haiti, which is extremely sad, which how that is because Speak Project has really worked hard to help Haiti with the genocide, and as the Clinton body count goes up, and y'all have been blocked multiple times helping Haiti. And I think, are y'all still having issues with that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I can't even say that we've helped Haiti at all, to be honest. We're trying to help Haiti. We're trying. But I can't say we've had any impact at all. And I keep trying. We keep trying whenever we get a window or any kind of feed into it. But it's just, we had donations set up and people tried to donate, they couldn't get into it. And we had, anything that we tried to set up for them got blocked immediately. They have we have videos of, horrible, horrifying things that I won't even put out. And like obviously, we put out everything, so it's a terrifying place right now, to be honest with you. What's going on in Haiti? It's terrifying. So yeah, we're still in the cops.
But you did help, y'all have brought awareness to Haiti, and so that's important. And so that's one thing that you can speak more than what other people can do, because it's not in the news. It's not in the news that the Clintons have raped Haiti as well as they have America and American children. So, but Illinois has just, back to Kara's case, we had this timeline where when Tom tells her that she's not able to see the kids, and so when Kara, she doesn't see the kids, she actually goes to the Elgin Police Department. And Elgin Police Department tells her there is no investigation. That, they're telling her they have nothing, and that was, as well as the Deerfield DCFS on Kara's behalf, he let her know there was no open case. And so she goes ahead and files a missing persons report, and they continue to ignore Kara, the DCFS. We fast forward to court, and this is when I came involved in this case, actually around August the 14th, 15th timeframe is when I met her, and Tom had the pager downstairs, and when Kara's bringing up court, Julie Pirtle, the guardian ad litem that has admitted that, she's allegedly has taken money from the godparents, and that they've given Tom the kids back, which would be impossible if there was an investigation. That says that on the medical reports, by the way, that there was sexual that they were concerned, the hospital was, and they're saying that he was removed out of the home, James was, and his family. But the safety plan with CPS is 2 weeks. It's not been a 2-week time frame, and Tom has already been able to get the kids back. August the 14th is when I believe that's the day that I met Kara Wyatt for court that day. And unfortunately, she'd been fighting this since March, and she'd been raped and had not been able to get any help. And I took about a 3-hour phone call with her, and I believed her immediately without even looking at her documents. She was very detailed. She was a strong woman, a very strong woman. She's a young woman. She's 24. I cannot imagine what she's gone through, but I admire her. But she was, I believed her immediately. I immediately wrote a chart on her, and there was a gag order put on Kara. That's what she was concerned, and where she wasn't going to be able to talk publicly about her kids. And so I took the case and became an advocate for her and on behalf of the kids. I immediately did my reports that I did, turned in my evidence in. We know how that went with Phil McConnell's team, where nothing got done. But that was done on my behalf, trying to help them. And then August the 17th, I knew these children were in danger and had put a red alert on these kids. Fast forward to October the 31st, and there's the 911 call that comes in. This is a discrepancy again on the medical reports that we got, that we were told from the beginning that CPR had been done 30 minutes on the bed. And I kept telling Kara, there's no way you cannot do CPR on the bed. You wouldn't do that. That's been proven in Michael Jackson's case. And so, but you don't do CPR that way. Anyone knows that. That's a very easy thing. But they told her they did CPR for like 30 minutes. We were also told that Tom and the grandpa were not there. They were on their way to work. They were at work. According to the reports that we got, we were told that, or the medical reports that we got, Tom was there and the grandpa were there. And that when the EMT got there, Tom was holding the child, and he actually said to one of the nurses that he was telling her that there was a child custody case, because when your child's not breathing, that is the most important thing, to make sure you go ahead and build a story up. And so, that's what I would be concerned about, is that make sure that the ambulance and all them that are there to save my child's life, that they know there's a child custody case. And he said to that one, she's going to think I murdered him. And now, Tank and I have discussed this. Tank gives him a pass on this one. Again, though, I don't, because the story is that he's not supposed to be there. He's supposed to be at work. And why would you be talking about child custody case when your child's not breathing? I just do not believe that a parent would react that way. If you want to argue with me about that or debate that, what do you think?
Well, just to clarify, it's not that I don't see the significance of it. What I'm saying is it doesn't help prove anything, right? Because people's reactions when, they lose a child could be different on many levels. Things are probably rushing through their head on all types of different issues. So that's all I'm saying. I don't think it will help us, especially based on the fact that this is the wild, wild west in Illinois, right? Like there's no real law there of any kind. You basically have everybody's just kind of fighting for themselves, right? So, and that's intentional, because you have a setup like that. What'll happen inevitably? They gave Kara her daughter for 2 days a week. The reason why they did that, I'm convinced they did that so they want her to run. So if she runs,
she's convinced of the same thing.
Yeah, and they put her in jail or something.
The same thing they did to Amy. If you remember, Amy went to Illinois because they had removed her name from the birth certificate. She went to fight, and she was told that she'd have to figure a way to prove those were her kids. And so she did. kidnapped her son and went on a run for 2 weeks, and she spent time in prison for it. And Kara's absolutely convinced of everything they've done, they want her to run. And last week we had an issue where they were trying to take visitation away, and we had to deal with that situation. And so, yeah, they definitely have built up a system of trying to make her run. Now, that same night that James goes to the hospital on the night of his death on October the 31st, again, he's too upset to call Kara, and so he asked another nurse to call. So he told the EMT she's going to think I murdered him. The nurse, he says, he thinks she's going to think that I killed him. So there's two statements right there, because he wants to make sure his name is cleared when his son is dying. And so Kara comes in, she sees James, and she gets to see James for a minute, and he had a red ring around his stomach and back. And when she asked him about it, they immediately came and got him and took him away from her. And so she did not really get a lot of time to look over him. She did not get a lot of time to grieve for him the night that he died. So then we have the autopsy situation at Cook County Medical Examiner, where we get the court order to have a independent autopsy. And she asked him, does she need to fax it over? We have this recorded as well, and they tell her no. And then she finds out that he's going to be released to the funeral home. And Tank and I had to get involved in that. Tank, do you remember that when that happened?
Yeah. I mean, we did actually, luckily we didn't get anybody's face on tape, but we did actually record what was happening and what the response was, because they refused to give Kara her actual medical records, right? And or the medical records of her child. Right now, to me, at this point, part of the reason why is obvious, right? I mean, because now she has the medical records, right? And the crack team of investigators there in Cook County, right? This group down there. How could any human being not be like, we have to investigate this? There is too much history here of what would appear to be abuse. Even the doctors said there appears to be sexual abuse or something wrong here. This doesn't happen to a 1-year-old boy and then a 2-year-old boy, right? This doesn't happen unless he's being abused and brutally abused, right? There's 2 restraining orders, one against the father, one against the grandfather, and the children are still in the custody of the man, one of the men at least. And at one point, both of them had restraining orders, and both of the children were there with these 2 men. What in the hell kind of decision is that in any logical court? Oh my God. Look, if people don't stand up and do something down in that area, you deserve that to happen. Not Kara, but all of you, anybody there who does not get together, protest, stand up, call a grand jury, all these different things, I'll give you the way to do it. Look, by Thursday, I guarantee we will have the complete instructions for every county, every place in the country, and tell them exactly how to call their own grand jury. We'll let you use our system. We'll help you with the evidence. Try the whole thing out in public, because if you don't, you got these pedivores, and they're going to devour your children. This is not conspiracy theory. This is a real woman. This is actually happening. This is a 2-year-old boy who is dead because a pedophile judge, dare I say, I guess that's just my opinion. But what kind of a man anywhere would allow those 2 babies to go back with the abusive rapist father? Where the hell do we live? I mean, that's something you hear about, these backwards countries where, the cabal has completely perverted everybody, that it's okay to beat the women and everything else. I mean, that is such insanity. What is going on? I can't even believe this is real.
Yeah, I want to just say, I appreciate, everything you 2 are doing, and I know the whole team is involved, but you've been on this and helping this woman, get her existing child back, and even that's difficult, right? All of these things are they're conspiring, and they're covering up and covering up and covering up. And we really need to come together and take action. So, Tank, your efforts to create this new way of and activating people for grand juries, the whole system that you're putting in place, everything what we're building is we need to get also the other alternative media or real stream media out there to pick up on this, right? Maybe everyone out there, if you know any of the other alternative media people out there that are in, whether it's in Pursuit of Truth or Dave Hodges or X22, get this video out to them, right? And then get Tank and Michelle to go and be on those shows also. SGT Report. We know who they are. Let's get the message out so that everyone can do the same message at the same time. Speak loudly. Speak loudly. Let's get this message out because this is going on. And how long have we been reporting on this? And it's like a blow by blow, but it should stop. Get the girl back into their mother's hands and get these other people in jail.
You know what?
Well, Speak Project. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say Speak Project has sent all of the timeline and all evidence to all MSM, and only one covered the report. So, Speak Project has tried to get the national news to investigate this. Now we have been able to get people in Washington, to take the timeline that Speak Project has been amazingly helped us put together, and with the evidence. Tank wrote Representative Skillicorn, who again is like Judge Dalton, just doesn't have the balls to do anything about it. And
Skillicorn should be voted out of office, Chicago. Vote that man out of office. He's a coward.
He was more concerned about, these children are not in his district. But he was concerned about the dog missing.
They're not in my district.
So, I mean,
they're not in my district. They're not in your district. They're not in Tank's district. They're not. It doesn't matter district. It matters that it's happening. Right?
What matters is what we have to, like we're doing with Lawful America, is that we have to stop putting people in districts and towns. This is not my problem, because all of our taxpayers pay for every program that you're running, and you are representing the people of America, the individuals. And your oath is not to your people in your district. Your oath is to the people of the Constitution. And James's rights and Carol's rights were violated by the Constitution and our court system. So it is every bit of your damn problem. It is going to be your problem, Illinois, of every district in Illinois, because the time that she gets done suing them, and I win with my other case that's in the Supreme Court, you're going to figure out how to budget, probably how to just go buy a cup of coffee by the time I get done with you. What has happened is injustice. This is not the only case that I have. This is multiple cases that I have in this area, and I'm coming for every one of you. We are setting up Lawful America. We are setting up grand juries, because what you are doing is you are violating your oath. You are violating the Constitution, and you do not have the power in the first place to even seize these children. Kara put on her Facebook talking about the Second Amendment. That's all she talked about. And the police department calls her and threatens her after her son dies and acts like he doesn't know her. But then he tells her, I'm going to call DCFS. Why? How does he know that there's another child available? That's the Palatine Police Department. The Palatine Police Department, after James died, 8 hours later, put a press release that there was no foul play on this child before a medical examiner had even looked at this child. This is a child trafficking.
Wait, and they closed the investigation with no autopsy, and then it's only because this young mother is so tenacious that we even know that they removed the heart, the throat, the jaw, the brain. They removed all these things because they were looking for trauma. Now, as far as we know, I mean, kids died. The first one we heard was that he died from SIDS at 2 years old. He's not an infant anymore. 2-year-olds don't just die. You can throw a 2-year-old on the stairs, they'll jump up and start playing. Like, do you know how brutal, how much that child had to be brutalized? I don't even like to talk about it out of respect to the mother. But out of respect to the child, I want to make sure that people know what the hell happened. So I mean, like, I can imagine.
And on the behalf of the other child.
That's right.
Because Sasha's still there. I mean, this is the worst case. So this is where, Dan, you would think they've told us the worst, right? And so we have the autopsy, we have this court date, and tonight, Kara and I speak, they buried James without letting her know. They have buried this child and this funeral home, and that Susan is so concerned about Kara because she doesn't want a circus, could not contact the mother to have time with her child before he was buried. And when Kara asked her about it, because what happened was she wouldn't return Kara's phone calls, so the minister that's been working in between, that Susan even told the minister that Tank and I should not be involved in this case. And you're right, we shouldn't be involved in this case because you know that you got trouble coming, honey. You got it coming. And what you have done is to bury this woman's child who has been raped, has not had any justice, and y'all buried this child without Kara knowing, without her having time with her son to say goodbye. That's the kind of funeral home at Holt Green Funeral Home that you want to use? You want to go bury your family members with these people? And feel free to please call her and just let her know just how sensitive she was to this mother when she called her tonight and talked to her about burying this child. She doesn't know where the cemetery's at. She doesn't know where the child's buried at. She didn't get to say goodbye. And all this woman could say was, yeah. So, Susan, your number is 630-668-0027. And I hope that you get a lot of phone calls, so you could just hear what we think about what you've done to the injustice of James, and to be so insensitive as a funeral home owner that you would not allow this woman who is 24 years old, who has lost a child of 2 years old, of a brutal rape, murder, injustice. And you allowed in your funeral home for this child to be buried without this mother saying goodbye. How much goddamn injustice do you need to have, Illinois? How much?
I'll tell you, we're going to put out I'm going to put out the audio phone call of us talking when I called Susan, when I called the funeral home. Because I know well enough how to conduct myself, Susan. And I certainly know the gravity of the situation. And I was very respectful. But you know what? Y'all can be the judge. But she didn't want a circus. So you know what I think would be apropos for that whole situation? If I could get somebody in Chicago to start organizing peaceful protests, and I can't emphasize that enough. But I think a great peaceful protest would be to show up at that funeral home with about 1,000 people dressed like clowns. I think that would be great for that funeral, because how is the news going to ignore that? At the end of the day, a protest doesn't mean anything other than a whole lot of noise if nobody covers it. At some point, we do have what they're doing right now. What they're doing there is a circus, right? It's like Satan's circus down there in Kane County. It is a nightmare. No parent is safe. Every single mother, father, everyone should be terrified of what can take place in a little town. I don't know how big it is in that county. You all ought to be on the footsteps of the court tomorrow morning. You ought to be demanding justice for James. You ought to be demanding that little girl gets returned home to her mother. Because what do you think's happened to that little girl the other 5 days of the week? They have already damaged that child where she has accepted that it's okay what's happening to them. Because little girls don't walk up to grown men and grab their crotch and tell them, I love you, unless they're trained to do that. They don't go into a doctor's office and open up their vagina for a doctor to see comfort. No little girl does that unless they've been raped. That is what is from the Monarch program, where they open the little girls up and tell them they're a butterfly. I know what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
I believe that this funeral home it's actually at 304 North Main Street, Wheaton, Illinois, just in case y'all need the address. And so I believe Wheaton actually is where Billy Graham was out of, where he went to the university, who was a huge part of Monarch programming. I have documentation on that, Wheaton. I have a lot of documentation out of Wheaton. And the kitten program, Monarch program, is out of that area. And so I know exactly what you're doing in this area. I have multiple cases that we had not discussed yet, because I have given like Skillicorn and all these other people a lot of times to make this wrong right, but you chose not to. And burying James without this mother knowing was the last nail in your coffin. I'll let you know that right now. You made a major mistake. You made a major mistake by first letting this court system fail. Tank has told you, we've given you warning. We've said, send her home. We'll back off. You did not. And then you just kept on and kept on. And then you buried this child without the mother saying goodbye. There's no going back and replay. All these mistakes that you've done, we cannot replay and bring this child back to life. We have a 4-year-old child that is still in the hands of these freaking predators, and we can't get Trump, we can't get Skillicorn, we can't get none of them to do anything. Stand up, people. We the people. CPS takes over 700 children a day in the United States unlawfully. Over 89% of children trafficked. They say 60%. I don't believe those numbers. But last year, it was 89% of children being child trafficked were from the foster care system. Wake up. This is not a system that works. This Child Protective Service is a system to funnel children for the elite and these sick people who are pedophiles and who are wanting your children. That is what is going on. These are fake magistrates, they're actors, and you are falling for it. But if you cannot stand up for a child, if you cannot stand up for the child for justice, we have nothing here. That's our future. Those are the people that are going to be taking care of us. Are we going to be the example that if the way we took up for them, is that the way they're going to take up for us when we're elderly? Come on, people. Stand up for justice.
I'll tell you what, too. Now, I'm working on this constantly, but I really need help with this. I really need people from the militia. I need individuals, particularly right now, I need the militia who touches the Chicago area. And I mean this, the actual militia. Now, that was advice given to me by the highest authority on the planet. Because at some point, we have to really take note of a couple things. One, police are policy enforcement. So they are enforcing policies that are not constitutional. That's the one thing. So the sheriffs, right now we got a sheriff in our group. I just got appointed to be the sheriff, and I'll tell you what, I talked to them tonight, and I told them we have a better system, and I want to implement the system nationwide. And if I can get sheriffs and other people that are willing to step up to be a sheriff and form a lawful, constitutional enforcement group that ensures that our laws are actually our laws of the Constitution, that they're not enforcing policies that are corrupt, that violate our fundamental rights, that we know in the Constitution there is no emergency that overrides the fundamental rights of the people. Those are rights that are given to us by God from birth. They are our birthright. You cannot take away our birthright. You don't have the right. We didn't contract with you. We don't consent to that. Now, that right there is what we need. Every single state, every county, we need people that are willing to step up and be the enforcement. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll tell you what, I'll organize it. Reach out to me. You can reach out to me at Stephen Rowe, STEFFENROWE at republicmilitia.com. And let me tell you something. I know how powerful these guys think they are. They think they gamed us right now, right? Believe me, we have so much more built. As much as we talk about, you have no idea what we have built behind the scenes. That's Stephen Rowe at republicmilitia.com. And I'll tell you what, I want to bring all the militias together on the same page because we've got to stand up together. And I'm not talking about doing something violent. I'm talking about knowing that we have the ability to take up arms, and then we stand with a woman like Kara Wachowski and get her baby back, and stand in the face of that court and say, what you are doing is a crime. What you are doing is not okay. We will not accept that. That the police department, every single one of them needs to be thrown out of their ass because they don't do anything. Because they take a 2-year-old boy found dead with 2 grown men with 2 restraining orders against him, and their conclusion is, there's no suspicious circumstances here. This is perfectly normal. Where the hell did you grow up that's normal? That's not normal. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that this is what is okay. It's every one of you scumbag, loser, pedophile. Listen, I know this for a fact. I've watched this happen myself growing up. I've watched this one-legged pedophile destroy all my cousins, all the kids, except for my little brothers. Everybody got tore up. And I watched the wife of that man sit there and do nothing. And so I'm telling you, that woman ended up dying by herself, suffocated from her own weight, from the guilt of what she'd done. She had enabled that pedophile. Every one of you is just like her. Every one of you. Every single person out there who just stands by and does nothing, who allows this to continue to go on, who doesn't care enough about a kid, doesn't care enough about anybody to stand up and say enough. At what point, when they take your kid, then you're going to be looking around for people to help you, and you know what they're going to do? The same thing you did. Nothing. You need to go get on somebody's case. You need to go get in somebody's face and say, this is happening. This is a real thing. We've given you every piece of evidence. How long is everyone going to deny this is happening when we posted 100 pieces of evidence to show exact timelines, recorded calls, documentation, medical files? We've posted everything to show you what happens. This woman is not some woman who's one-off and abusive to a child, whatever category it is in your mind this happens to. It is not. It's a good young lady, hardworking, cares about her kids. She already lost her 2-year-old, and these savages down there, they're going to let that 4-year-old girl continue to get raped. Why? Because they make a little money? Money? You are destroying a legacy. You are destroying something that is priceless. It is intangible. You have no idea what it can be. It is the hopes and dreams, the aspirations, the beauty, the essence of all that life is in that one little girl, and we're just going to let her continue to get raped by these dirty old men? My God. I am begging you, please, begging you, somebody with some integrity, some of you men in that police force, one of you, get this out there, tell them, do something. The militia, get armed up, do what you have to do, and get that little girl home. Do it lawfully. Go take that judge and get him out. And the whole lawful system there. Look, I know there's the Order of the Assassins there. I know that. I know there's an Illuminati cluster there. I know you got all the Satan worshippers there. Get them out too. Because they'll kill you in a heartbeat.
I think that's actually where my hit. That's actually where the hit came out on me, was from that area. So, I know who you are. You don't scare me. You ain't nothing. You're a little wolf pack, little puppies.
You know what?
When you prey on children, you're nothing. You're literally nothing. And you can't prey on something that your own size, so you're weak. That's how I see it. You're weak. So that's kind of where we're at right now, Dan and Tank. I again would encourage you to just light those lines up tomorrow, because I plan to light them up. I'm going to go on my Facebook and Twitter, and Susan, you asked for the circus, honey, and I'm going to deliver it. And just remember that who made the move, and if I were you, I wouldn't call Tank and me names. I sure would call him Shady, because you're the one that's proven who you really are. And you did not represent Kara. You did not represent James. And so, again, that number is 630-668-0027. I will be posting it on my Facebook. I will be posting it on my Twitter. And I encourage all of my audience and all the advocates that work with me to post it out and call and light them up and ask her, how could you bury a child that 2 years old has been taken away from this young mother? And, we have Lawful America on this one case. I encourage you to go ahead and sign up. We'll be working across the U.S. to restore the power back to the people, or it already is that way. You just got to start practicing it and know what your rights are. Last year when I traveled my state for 8 months, that's what that was about, to teach people you do have the power. And I really encourage all of you to practice your rights. And if you want change, you've got to be willing to step to the plate, quit being afraid, and do the right thing. It's very simple. Do the right thing. Injustice to one is injustice to all of us. And you never know when it may be you're the one that needs help. So be loud and stand up for justice and stand up for the Constitution. More importantly, stand up for Sasha. She's 4 years old, and she has no right to be in those arms. She should be with her mother, and I'm not stopping until I do. And I wanted to go on my Facebook, and I'll say this because I am more controlled on here, and with Dan and Tank, y'all would stop me if I really went off. But this is the last warning I'm going to put out, that if you continue this, I will open Pandora's box on you. And once I open Pandora's box, I'm ruthless. I will not stop. I promise you, I will not stop. And I've got over 40 hours of audio of your little Kane County area of killing children and all those things. And I'm going to start releasing all that information out. So it's your choice. You can do the right thing, and we can back off for a little while. It's your choice. So thank you all for who have listened. Tank and Dan, thank you for the platform and to help get Kara, James, and Sasha justice. I really appreciate that.
Well, I'm happy that you're here. It's the responsible thing to do. We need to get this message out to all of the alternative media. I really think that is something that we, start having everyone say the same thing. We need our own, 12 o'clock talking points, not 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. We need to put out our talking points midday in the light and have everybody talking about this, so that we can actually now push it forward, push that wave over on top of them, start it there, start them toppling, and the first domino will fall and the rest of them will fall.
Yes. Now I do want to clarify this too. I'm very aware of the gravity of this. And I asked Michelle not to go on Facebook and go off, because I don't want them to have any kind of ammunition to use against our team in any way. But I personally, I'm very conscious of every word I say. So, whatever this woman, Susan, whatever her name is, I know how this type of person works, right? That she'll try to come back and say, oh, it's defamation of character. No, it's not. Every single word we said is true. And we will put out the telephone recording so we make it very clear, like, this was the conversation. Nothing we said was out of the ordinary. We weren't trying to causing any problems. We're trying to help a mother get, her daughter home and away from the abusive father. The details and the facts of this case is so disgusting. And I want to say this about it. It's not even an anomaly. This is par for the course. Now, there is a higher court in the land. The highest court in the land is the grand jury. As a matter of fact, even the Supreme Court cannot question the ruling of the grand jury. And you take any logical human beings sitting down and listening to this evidence, there is no one who will not only want this judge removed. As far as I'm concerned, he should be tried for homicide, because it is because of his actions, because of his neglect, and because he's been able to get away with it for so long. Now here's the out, right? Because this is happening no matter what. I promise you, every single media outlet, every reporter, every employee, every school, everyone who continues to allow this to go on and does not come in line with the Constitution, which is the law of the land, you are going to face prosecution from your peers. You are going to have to deal with that judgment, and that's coming. And I'm telling you, we've got people activated on that all across the country. We've got people that are ready to go, and I promise you this, I am not tired. I don't even have an ounce in me that makes me feel like, oh my gosh, this is too hard. It's not even in my head like that. But I know this. I know we have permanent space up in your head. I know we do. So
I thought we just got started.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, they've been able to delay us this long. But think logically. Right, because I know all these guys in their heart, they're mercenaries, right? They'll do anything for money, so to speak. Right? Now, to all that mercenary-minded people, all this group who thought that they, did this to make a living, what kind of world do you want to live in? Where you'll be ostracized, you won't be safe, because when the people, the masses, when the people outnumber you 1,000 to 1, and they actually start to wake up to what the hell have you been part of? And that is happening. Now, you can block the mainstream media. Go ahead. You can block the alternative media. Go ahead. I care less. Eventually, I'm going to own your platforms. We're coming for those too. Every one of you that has violated constitutional rights, those things will be given back to the people. Now, but you know what you're not going to be able to block? You're not going to be able to block when we start showing up at people's houses in numbers in the thousands. And you start showing up with information and letting them know this is happening in your neighborhood. And by the way, that is what I need. I need volunteers to reach out and find out and get organized with us. Because at the end of the day, I know how this plays out. I know we win this. Right now, we're just going through the motions. So, and Dan, that's all I got, man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take everything and make it a big.
No, this is what we need, man. We need to do more of this. Hey, this is the time. We started talking about what happened in the news and all that, but that's just one of the front lines. This is another front line. It's just as important as the overcoming what they're doing in the government and Trump's effort to basically transform the world again, and get rid of communism, get rid of that evil. I mean, that's what that battle is. Against the Democrats, that's against communism. Against the different states of communism around the world, removing manufacturing from China. All of this is just one front line. This is just as important, and we have our steps that we need to do. I encourage everyone. I'm glad to say we're still on the air. It's December 10th.
Yeah, me too. I'm amazed.
And so is In Pursuit of Truth. So is X22. So maybe they, felt all of the people's ire against them for basically, looking for, hey, they're going to remove our shows, right? We're downloading our videos. We're moving to BitChute and DropSpace and there's other platforms. But but right now, we need to really get this message out. We need to, please, I know people have passed out our videos before. Please take this video and post it on your Facebook. And even if you're shadow banned in your limited bubble, it makes it to a few people. Ask them to do the same. Get a chain link going, like a chain letter, right? Get this moving outwards. Have it retweeted. Put it on your Twitter. Retweet it. I'm going to put it on my Twitter. Please subscribe to my channel, WWG1, WGA.love, right? Get that information, subscribe, I survive on right now donations, so I can use some subscriptions. People are doing $111 a month, $888 a month, $999 a year, or any of the other donations that are there. And this is what we need to do. We need to get this information out to people. We need to get everyone coordinated. These other channels. If we speak at the same time, we need our own 12 noon talking points to get out there into the hands of the alternative media. We are now the news. We need to coordinate and really push back against them. We all talk about the different stories at different times, but if we start a wave, I think we have a lot of energy that comes from that, and we can make
I agree.
A much bigger difference. So let's make our tsunami.
Good advice, Dan. Dan, I appreciate you as always I appreciate you keeping us on air, man, and I certainly appreciate you allowing us to do this. We couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, we're all family.
We haven't done it yet, but we couldn't get any of this done if it wasn't for what you taught us. So I appreciate it.
Well, we are all family. All right. Let's keep going. And thank you, Michelle, and thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you, Dan.
Keep it going.
All right, bye everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you, Tank. Good night.
All right, bye, Michelle.